Hi everyone and welcome to another Nobody's Watching Wrestling bonus episode. I'm Ariel Italic, that's DJ Accident Report, and as you may have noticed, Lady Berica Andrews is not here. My producer is holding up a sign that says, make up an excuse. But we are joined by two very special guests. I've got Glen Joseph and Dahlia Black from Progress Wrestling. And they have selected some stuff for us to watch and talk about. The first thing we're going to talk about is WrestleMania 14.
She's checking her notes. She
yes.
can't remember 14.
I'm getting a very important text. WrestleMania 14, Shaun Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay, firstly, not the best match ever.
No.
By both people's admission who were in that match.
No.
But it's more the significance of where it happened in like the time of wrestling as we know it.
Oh, I was gonna say Boston, which is terrible.
Wish you could shady in here.
You need more practice at that, Miss Bitch. You got it. There you go. It took you a
And I got
second.
it away as well. I'm putting that away now. You could just get hot. I'm not fanning you anymore.
Okay,
so,
fine.
WrestleMania 14 was, some people like describe the Attitude Era as starting like 97 and moving into 98. This wasn't the start of the Attitude Era. It felt like this was like, somebody described it as the Attitude Era as Woodstock. And the Mike Tyson thing was big as well, because he was like arguably the biggest thing in sports at the time. You know, he
Pre-face tattoo.
bit a guy's ear off, didn't have a pet tiger or whatever the fuck he's got
He has
now.
a pet tiger?
No, I think it's from Hangover. I think you're mixing reality.
That's a fiction.
Welcome to the wrestling world
Yeah.
where you can't remember what's real or fake anymore.
There you go.
So Mike Tyson involved in the match, and there was this really big build-up to it. And Shaun Michaels had like really messed up his back at the Royal Rumble. So if you see a lot of the stuff in it, there's a lot of times where like knowing that now retrospectively and looking back at it, you're like, is that selling or is he really, really hurt? Because
I did know during the match, I was watching thinking, he's really good at selling this pain. It was like, and
I did not think that.
there was a lot of walking it off that I was like, he's walking it off looking like, he looked like a much older man where he was like, ugh, 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 and I was like, wow, he's really walking it off.
Yeah.
And
But he also
he
does
is
this-
really walking it off.
He does this like the hand on the back kind of thing. Even when he's like doing stomps or kicks or whatever he's always doing like taking a moment just to be like, fuck. And you can actually see him swear at one point. He probably does it a few times during the match.
But you can even see.
Was it recognized at the time that his back was
So, like, they
really
reference it
injured?
on commentary a lot. Jim Ross references that he has a back injury. I don't think they reference the severity of it, and it's testament to the fact, like, so I'm gonna say something that's gonna like black, pink, and white are my favorite colors and have been since I was about 9 years old because Bret Hart was my favorite wrestler.
Aw.
Bret Hart was my favorite wrestler, and I have to say this because Shaun Michaels, and looking back at like his back catalogue of work, Shaun Michaels is unbelievable. And when you think about how messed up he was physically, and you know, and even like emotionally at times as well, like it's all very, very well documented. Like he had a lot going on. To think that he managed to put that body of work in while you know the medication that he was taking and like the psychological state that he was in. Like, I watched this match back and went, this is probably one of Shaun Michaels' worst pay-per-view matches.
I was confused as to why you picked it because all I could think was this isn't very good.
Yeah. Well, if you ask anybody who knows me, I generally tend to like wrestling that isn't very good. But I
Interesting.
mean, like, last year's of WCW, not very good.
Got
Like-
it.
Like, TNA 2005, not very good. Like, crazy, stupid, like, let's have a blindfold match in a cage. Looking at you, Vince.
Can you say that?
Russo.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, the care that we take here, Nobody's Watching Wrestling, to not get sued. Very important.
The running joke as well is that, although throwing that shady shade to Vince Russo, is that Vince Russo is my favorite wrestling writer of all time because he wrote Survivor Series Deadly Games tournament. Like, how he managed to fit that much in, and Jim Smallman, my business partner at Progress. Hi Jim, I'm talking about Vince Russo again. Like, I love Vince Russo, and back when all of that stuff was fantastic. Again, you know, he admits he has his faults, but you know, we did an angle with the faceless, so.
Oh,
So
fuck's
let's be honest,
sake. Let's
everybody's
not
ended up
even-
with egg
don't
on their
even.
faceless at some point. So everybody's had a bad booking day.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Yeah.
I'll say it for everyone. It's
I
fine.
don't know. I was not as unentertained with this match as everyone else was. Like, it wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, but it was totally fine. And it was actually sort of reminded me, because I sort of think of Shaun Michaels as a joke person because I haven't seen a lot of his work. And so watching him, I was like, you know what? He's actually a good wrestler. Like,
I did not have that thought. I also had the thought that I was like, I kind of started questioning like myself because I was like, I really liked Stone Cold when I was a kid, but he has maybe 3 moves. Like he just has a very limited move set.
mostly punches.
So
yeah,
again,
mostly punches.
People talk about Kevin Nash as well, about having the 5 moves of doom. Like, if you look back at some of the most pivotal, exciting characters in terms of whether they could talk or whether they're promos, you're looking at Steve Austin and The Rock as 2 examples.
Right.
Like, they
don't really
they're
have
not doing
a
like,
large move
if you were to compare it to, like, I don't know,
Me?
like,
I have like 5 moves.
What are your 5 moves?
Moonsault, spinning back kick, double knees in the corner.
Oh.
That's it. No, literally, no, I don't know.
But those are 3
They're really fun
impressive
ones,
moves.
yeah.
Yeah,
as
but that's all I
opposed to-
did. But oh god, when you're like
Snake
doing a match
eyes.
with someone and they're like, oh, I do a triple hurricanrana from the corner of the top rope of the balcony, and I'm just like,
Into
cool.
the balcony.
Into the balcony, and I'm like, cool. I just do a spinning back kick. It's in the corner or in the middle of the ring, and that's about it. It was literally it. But that's it. 5 moves of doom. It's not like you look at John Cena. He does them. You look at Stone Cold Steve Austin. You Goldberg. They've all
That's
these
true.
tight, small amount of moves. But as soon as they fucking hit that move, everyone's off their fucking feet. Everyone's going crazy.
So actually, fair that you should mention that, because my other choice of this was going to be Goldberg versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan in Atlanta.
Oh.
When Goldberg won the title. And
Speaking
everybody
of
lost
people
there.
with no moves.
But
Yo,
he
what
already-
did they both do in that match? Just glare at each other?
slam.
Literally, just to work the crowd one way and
Yeah.
the other way, back and forth, back and
It's
forth.
basically a Vogue battle. They're just kind of dancing around each other.
Oh god.
Be okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I-
Dream match.
I'd pay a lot of money to see that, I think.
Yeah, I think
But yeah,
I would
but like,
too.
so the Goldberg Hulk Hogan thing is testament to the fact, like, the reaction that it gets is so massive because it was just built for so long. It was that long-term storytelling and that investment that went into it that it kind of really didn't matter that a guy who did a leg drop lost to a guy who could do a jackhammer. Like it was.
You know, you manage like the most important wrestlers in the world, and now you're talking about how maybe everyone should just have dumber moves.
Well, any wrestler who comes to myself, Jim and John at Progress, knows if you want to go and do the all Japan like wrestling stuff, go and talk to Jim about your idea. If you want to talk about the logistics and the logic of stuff, go and talk to John about your idea. You want to go and talk about the theater and the fact that I don't really care about what moves you do and it's just about the promo stuff. That's probably why I suppose that like we as a company, I guess, have like kind of, I don't want to say it sounds really wanky, but like, you know, we've had a lot of success based on the fact that we don't come like from just a wrestling standpoint. So this is why when I look at WrestleMania 14, that was Progress Chapter 13. For me, and looking at the WWE, it was the one that got out there that everybody saw, that had Zack versus Prince Devitt on, and it had, you know, a bunch of like storylines that were starting to get interwoven, but it was like we have arrived and this is where we sit in the industry. Like WrestleMania 14 seemed like everything kind of came together, and with that match, that wasn't the best match, and there's a bunch of like, one time Austin grabs Michael's hair and Michael's just like trying to bump himself into the
God,
table,
really?
and
That's
like
really awkward.
Austin's like pulling him back, like, no, that's not where we're going. And it just like, there's just a bunch in there that isn't like, it isn't technically brilliant, and it isn't even like when people talk about the best WrestleMania main events, like it's not up there. But the significance of the match and the passing of the torch to Austin, that then goes on to Austin and McMahon, that then goes on to Triple H the next night, bringing back the new DX, to then Shawn disappearing, to then Shawn coming back and doing the whole Ugg boot, you know, no DQ match with Triple H, where he does the elbow off. Is he wearing Ugg boots in that match when he comes back? Like, he wears those brown boots and jeans when he makes his big comeback.
I don't know, we are so far from the thread of what I actually watched. I watched one match and you just gave me a 30-minute history of the entire WWE, which I appreciate because I know nothing. I want to get back to the match that we're talking about for a second, because you did talk about the storytelling promo aspect of it, and that was the part that really lost me, because outside the ring, we had China, we had
who was like just like a vision from heaven.
Triple H, who I did not recognize until they said his name.
Triple H has had his teeth fixed since then, I noticed.
And a haircut, you might have noticed.
Yes.
We had Mike Tyson, who, Why Are You There? And then there was also a band whose instruments got involved. And then by the time we were throwing someone at a dumpster, I was like, are we watching Southland Tales? Like, what is going on? There were too many threads.
So if you tie in the whole show, this is a really interesting piece of, this is like wrestling pub ammo, guys. So the DX band that played, so they played Triple H to the ring, they played Shaun Michaels to the ring, and also I believe they did the national anthem at the beginning.
Oh.
And they,
what was that band?
so they were called the DX band. Is it so Chris Warren? I can't remember the names. Answers on a postcard, folks. So they played America the Beautiful really, really badly.
I'd imagine.
And got booed, and Vince McMahon was really, really like happy with this, because then it meant every time they played later on, they immediately got booed, and it just meant that if you didn't follow the thread of Triple H and Shawn Michaels being the heels, you'd be like, I hate this band sucks. I hate this guy because he's coming out to this band's music. So actually, it kind of worked, I guess. But yes.
So new metal is a heel tactic, is what you're saying.
I don't know, Limp Bizkit have been around a bunch. So, you know, American Badass as well.
I do remember when they were playing at Mania, and it did hurt my heart.
So much of Mania is designed to hurt our hearts, though. It's just not an uplifting experience.
Like WrestleMania 14 was the days of like, it felt like it was just the right length. It was paced well, and like.
How long was it?
It was just, it was 3.5, I think, for the whole thing, which is like when you think.
She's already angry at it then.
Over,
she can't do over 3.
Over 3 is my, like, no.
I can't watch a movie that's more than 2 hours.
I like a tight 90. We should talk about what Shaun Michaels was wearing, because he's a beautiful Indian bride, which is great.
Wow!
Just a full Bollywood effect with that outfit.
At the time, so they were like, basically, if you watch the promo of the match, they're always calling him flamboyant. So at that time, he was considered flamboyant. Oh my God, he's wearing sequins and like.
Was that coded queer at that time?
We just
Yes.
didn't play good.
No, because the women loved him.
Well, and that's what
they did in the promo,
In the
yeah.
promo, being like, women love you, they want to touch you, and rah rah rah. But they always called him flamboyant, didn't they?
He was going on,
people
like-
thought that he was gay.
Yeah, he was going on talk shows like dressed like, you know, that one from the YMCA. Like it was like, it had like leather hats, the leather. I mean, he always had the leather like caps and what have you when he was younger with Sherry. And then he kind of evolved into chainmail. And like you can see him and like when he's asked about does he like the female attention, what have you, and you can see like with a wink and what have you, he was selling to the female market.
Right.
And
Oh my
also
God.
then he did Playgirl, which let's be honest, was then selling to the gay market
Right,
as well,
right.
because that was, you mentioned the word coded.
Right.
I think that there was like a lot of coding there as well.
Libidinous, I guess.
Yeah, I
like
feel
just
like-
like very over sexual.
In this era, if they wanted you to know he was gay, there would have been like a dildo falling out of his trunks as he walks up the runway.
Well, I mean, like even look at Goldust. Like, Goldust was flamboyant in comparison. So if you think Shaun Michaels is quite very like overtly sexual, then I guess Goldust was that kind of.
Did they ever feud, Shaun Michaels and Goldust?
They worked each other, I'm sure they did, but like Goldust was a weird one because it was just never kind of overtly mentioned until like I think Jerry Lawler once like called him what would be considered, well, even then was considered a slur. I can't even remember what it was, but I know that there was stuff done that was it was deliberately provocative. They put him with Scott Hall,
Right.
the machismo thing against this guy who was like, you know, touching himself and then rubbing his hand, and it was never like, it was just never like just definitively mentioned. And I think that's the kind of difference now between, you know, that and like what we have in modern culture. That just wouldn't read. It wouldn't
Right.
read even to the market that watch wrestling. So I think like with the Shaun Michaels stuff, it was like, yes, it can be interpreted a certain way, and I'm sure there are certain people going, it's not my champion. But there were a lot of, like, you can hear the pitch. I loved it, like, whenever I go to like a WWE live event, rather than an indie event, like, and you hear the pitch difference between when somebody like, I don't know, like to the Bludgeon Brothers, for example, and people who followed Luke Harper for years and like seeing him on these, and he'll come out and you'll get like, you know, the indie, and then Randy Orton comes out and you get the kids and girls about like an octave higher, and it's only then you realize that like
Roman now too.
Yeah,
it's
sure,
kids
because-
and girls cheering and
Oh yeah,
adults booing.
Roman's proper daddy.
I sort of forgot that Shaun Michaels actually is good looking. Like, to your point, I mean, because of the stupid fucking braids and the dumb costumes and the cheesiness, like, he's actually kind of hot under there. His body was so right. Like, that body was correct. Well done, Shaun Michaels. That body was correct. And Steve Austin, in comparison, is so boring. Like, Stone Cold...
He didn't even have, like, skulls on his panties yet.
No, he did have the Terminator on his vest. There was, like, some product placement. There was a full-on Terminator face on his vest, and I was upset about it. He seemed like a tough man who was like, but also, I've sold out. Like,
I did not get that.
He's been an anti-authoritarian figure for so long, it's hard to think of him as a sellout.
True, though I am, so I'm getting another sign from our producer. It just says, you're dumb. It's apparently not, it's just not the Terminator at all.
So you just made up an entire different narrative for this.
Not the first time. That's as it turns out, that's how I watch wrestling.
Yeah, it's true. It's basically just Ariel Italic fan fiction.
I'm wrestling with my own brain and with reality. That's the real match.
I'm surprised Shaun Michaels' butt has not come up once in this discussion.
Oh yeah, full butt.
I was like a pants spot a minute into a WrestleMania main event. You best believe that was my favorite WrestleMania main event ever. WrestleMania 14, a pants spot, that's what you do on the camps. So if you guys don't know what the camps are, like, Dahlia, would you like to explain?
Well, the camps are basically you go to like the ass crack of places in the UK, and then you put on wrestling shows. Basically what I did. I did them for 6 weeks and they were horrible. Super quick, you get in a van, drive for 12 hours, set up a shitty wrestling ring that will break your back if you wrestle on for too long, do a shitty show, and then get in your van and then drive again. And like,
why is it called the camps?
The camps, because like the places that you go to, the places that these families take their kids to, instead of going to like Ibiza or Crete or anything like that, they're holiday places. So they pile your family into a car and then you go to these holiday
In
places.
fairness, you didn't like them. You didn't have a good experience.
No, I hated them because I was like, I was treated so poorly the entire time. It was Eisenhower.
Yeah, I know these stories and I empathize with that. You didn't have a good experience, but there would be like not a lot of the talent that there is now if it wasn't for the camps.
Oh, of course.
Because you're wrestling like 3 times a day in front of like kids, families, whatever. Now camp stuff that gets over with families and kids is like, you know, hey, just pull this guy's pants down, let's see his ass, and that's quite funny.
So it's not different from gay camp, I guess. Like it's just like it's campy, like it's like we'll just do this.
So yeah,
thing.
so it comes from actually that's really interesting because it comes from holiday camps, but it's quite it's like.
It's like, oh my god, you're having like a 6-year-old child. If you're the bad guy, you've got a 6-year-old child running around hitting you with like a blow-up hammer, like and like there's like 7 of them, and you're like,
this is wrestling I would love.
Literally, you're like trying to get back into the ring, but there's like 7 kids like beating you up with a blow-up hammer, and you're just like, how has my life gotten to this point? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
So like if NXT is Shakespeare, then the holiday camps are like, it's pantomime, but it's also where you get your reps in, you get your chops performing in front of like an audience that sometimes indie like fans are the easiest to work. An 11-year-old kid or a 13-year-old kid who's like bitter about everything right now because he's having to sit there and watch wrestling at the holiday camp and really just wants to be like, you know, smoking around the caravans with his mates. Like if you work him, you're doing your job right.
Fair enough. I was just excited because I turned this match on, and usually there's a warning for violence when you turn the match on. This did not have that, but it did have a warning for sexual content. And I was like, are they gonna fuck in the ring?
Yeah.
Like,
they didn't, but they came closer than normal.
Isn't that where you always from?
I mean, the weirder part is that there was no warning for violence, and I was like, there was still violence. The butt does not negate everything that happened afterward.
So what's the story with Mike Tyson in this match?
So Mike Tyson was the hottest thing in sports. He was brought in by Vince McMahon, and then they kind of like paired him off against Austin and like who's the baddest man in the planet thing. And then the beginning of the Mr. McMahon character was basically like Austin crashed Tyson's like, Tyson, what's Tyson gonna do at WWE on Monday Night Raw? And Mr. McMahon does the whole, you ruined it, and he's screaming at Austin. And that was the beginning of arguably like the biggest feud in wrestling for the next couple of years, maybe, with Austin and McMahon, and that kind of resistance that Austin had to, you know, the man. And Tyson was the conduit for that. And then Tyson decides that he likes doing crotch chops a lot, and so he goes with DX and thinks this is quite cool.
He did enjoy that.
An excessive amount of the lamest crotch chops.
He wasn't very enthusiastic.
I was just gonna say, Mike Tyson is not good at this. I could tell from moment one that he has no charisma on camera whatsoever. And that's his only job because he's not actually wrestling. He just has to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And he's just no offense, Mr. Tyson. A+ face tattoos. You've done some great work on some other shit, probably. Wrestling's not for you. Are there any final thoughts on this match? It's important, I guess, because Steve Austin got the title, and great. Without the context, it was sort of.
Without the context, it kind of means nothing.
So we are going to talk about a second thing now. We have this promo from Snitsky and Lita.
This was Dahlia's pick.
Okay.
Because
apparently
Dahlia
I have
doesn't
reason.
actually watch wrestling, so this was her choice.
I have reason.
Let me just describe, for those of you who did not watch this, the basic premise is that Snitsky steals and then drop kicks what I think we are meant to believe is a real baby.
It's not a dropkick, it is a punt.
It's a punt.
Let's get technical about it. Point is, kicked a baby.
Basically, I don't remember, as I was saying before,
Yeah.
I didn't really choose to watch wrestling. I was just watching it because my big brother decided to watch it. I remember this was what, like 2004, so I would have been about 11 years old. Just kind of like coming home after school, sitting down. Who's this funny guy with the beard and it's plaited and stuff? Fact, this was Snitsky's debut match.
What?
This was his debut match.
No.
The one that
So
he had with
good.
Kane, right? So he has, for his debut match, a no DQ match with Kane, who is in a relationship
God, I love wrestling.
with Lita. Lita
remember this
does not
part of
want
it.
to be in a relationship with Kane because she wants to be with Matt Hardy, but Kane has like been hassling Matt Hardy and they went through a feud to have Lita. Now she is pregnant with Kane's child, yes?
It's a demon baby?
Basically, I mean, like, this is what blows my mind so much about this, is they've had to have sex for Lita to be pregnant.
Right.
But Lita doesn't want to be in this relationship. So, oh my God, like, all I can think is, he's like, oh God, I hate this word, her. And like, basically she's got a baby towards this fucking man.
Why do I
God.
get the feeling this all happened over the course of like 2 weeks?
This is so, and it probably did, to be honest. But
Oh,
the
we
thing
should-
is, I find this so fucking bizarre. So she's pregnant with Kane's baby, and then you see him like tugging her to the ring, like she doesn't fucking want to be there. How the
No.
fuck did she get pregnant in the first place? And then basically Snitsky debut match, no disqualification match because like, why the fuck not? And then Kane gets into the ring and he's beating up Snitsky and he puts the chair over Snitsky's head and he's about to fucking kill him. And then Lita comes into the ring and then she saves Snitsky. And then Snitsky's like chair shot and then hits Kane in the back of the head and then Kane falls on Lita. Boom, miscarriage in the ring. This is what happens. So then Lita has an on-air miscarriage. But the thing is that what's happened at the time is these guys have gone, well, now Lita's pregnant, but she's not actually pregnant. So we need to get rid of the baby.
So they punted into the audience?
No, this isn't the same one. The
Oh,
baby's
okay.
not born
This
at
is
this
a different
time.
baby?
Lita's
Okay.
carrying the baby at this point. Lita's pregnant with the baby at this point. So like pregnant Lita is crushed by Kane, therefore kills the baby. So then Snitsky, who was not meant to be on the main roster at this point, and then everyone goes crazy over Snitsky, and then they're like, actually, you know what? We really, like, this guy's getting really over because of this baby thing, but he's in this other place, so we need to fly him on the private jet to Raw that night, wherever they were doing it. And then there was the it wasn't my fault angle. And then Kane and Lita become faces, like the good guys. And then Snitsky becomes the bad guy. And then imagine debuting for WWE and then being like, all right, kid, you gotta punch a baby into the audience. Like, it's so fucked. This is why I want to talk about this.
I had no idea that this was the story to any of this, and I definitely watched this as a child.
Yes, me too. I was 11 years old and I was just like, He just punted a baby. But the best thing about it is
But you were supposed to believe that baby was a baby, not
Yes!
like a baby
and
doll.
it hits the guard railing and bounces off.
Yeah,
like
and then someone catches it.
catching it.
Someone catches it.
Like it's a
someone
foul
trying to
ball.
pay it
Yeah.
away.
And then he holds it up and is like, yeah, I got
I
it.
got the fucking baby. It's just the most messed up fucking thing.
Over the course of you describing that, I went from like, yes, I love wrestling, to going, oh God,
Yeah.
this is. We are towing a very, very dangerous line here.
It also made me think of the "Don't Kidnap" song in Glow. I was like, there's just a PSA about like, don't steal babies. Like that was like the whole. It was that dumb.
Directed towards the audience of like,
Yeah.
don't take that baby with you after it gets punted into the crowd.
Don't punt babies. That's like our
Don't
new
feel
I
bad.
bet he did. I bet he was just like, this is my fucking plastic baby now.
I bet. Was eBay around then?
No.
Imagine what it did.
It's a
Yeah.
real baby.
She's,
Protect
who
the
knows?
biz.
It's a real baby. It's a
2004.
real
He's
demented
14.
person now.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
Where is that baby now?
If you are watching,
And you are 14 years old.
please do contact us.
And you think, yeah, if you think your parents aren't your real parents,
If you are a demon baby, and for some reason you have a really big foot mark in your arse, please do.
how old is Nicholas?
It all makes sense!
Oh, guys, we cracked the code. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Glenn, is there anything you want to plug to our audience, social medias, etc.?
Well, we are just on the eve of the Progress USA Coast to Coast tour, which starts in Philadelphia, goes to Boston, goes to New York, then we go across to Seattle, to Chicago and Detroit. All of the details are on progresswrestling.com. And if you need to find us on Twitter, @thisis_progress, facebook.com/progresswrestling, and who knows, might see you somewhere on our Coast to Coast tour.
Fabulous.
Sometimes when British people talk, I don't understand a word they're saying.
There will be text below. Dahlia, what would you like to plug?
Hi, I make candles. Check them out on Dahlia Black and Big Cartel fucking fuck. They are really cool, I think, anyway.
They are cool. I
They're
like
a bit
them on
weird.
Twitter.
But just check them out, please. Buy some. Fuck, I need to buy some groceries. Come on.
Yep.
I need to buy a flight back to London.
Oh, Lord. It's we're losing the thread. You know our stuff. We've got a Patreon. We've got Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. We've got Drag Queen merch. Yada, yada, yada. At Ariel Italic.
I'm trapped in hell.
The Lady Berica. The end. Bye.
Bye.